So if you want to just start with just a little quick introduction about yourself, kind of where you're from, how long you've been in nursing, your fitness journey, that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
So I'm from Hawaii, but moved to Oregon for nursing, and I've been a night shift nurse for 4 years now. I'm on a med surge floor, and basically joined the program because I was just ready to take my life back into control after being on night shift for about 3 years at that time, and just learning how to navigate night shift and health.
Heck yeah. Love that. Yeah, night shift is challenging. Oh my God, I think someone literally just launched a firework right now. I don't know
Yeah.
what that really just threw me off. I don't know what that was. Um, but fill me in with kind of when you started night shift, like how did that like impact you and your health and fitness? Obviously, it's super challenging to navigate. Like what were you noticing with how you felt and kind of all that?
Yeah, I think starting off, I was obviously very nervous. It was a new commitment and responsibility and definitely a new sleep pattern. And at that time, I didn't put so much effort into sleeping just because I thought being in a new type of routine, it came with like the nervousness and like anxiety of going to work. So I definitely relied on a lot of caffeinated drinks. And at that time, Celsius was a huge thing. So I was taking a lot of Celsiuses, isses, and I could immediately feel the crash like at 3 a.m., which was like not ideal. And at that time, I would go for more caffeine because I still had 4.5 hours of my shift left and I still had to drive back home, which would take maybe 45 minutes. So I was very caffeine dependent. And then going into my days off, everyone always said like the first day off you kind of waste because you're always sleeping. I never had that issue because I'm normally a day shift person. So when it was time to switch, I would nap for a few hours and I'd be awake, but I wouldn't feel fully rested. So that being said, I just wasn't really sleeping very well. And with that came even the compilation of like more energy drinks and like I would try to be healthy and work out and stuff, but I just never felt fueled to do my workouts. And so I was just wasting time at the gym because I would take such long breaks and I would just kind of dilly-dally on my phone. So I just didn't have really a pattern. And that's when I found you guys. And it was nice because the intention behind everything was for nurses or healthcare workers basically working 12-hour shifts. And that spoke to me a lot because I used to do like Insanity, which with like Sean T, and that was like 5 days a week. And that was already hard to do, even though it was like 45 minutes a day. But you folks really pushed the three, sometimes four intentional mindful workouts during the week and the really big challenge of like getting your steps in. So that's why I really enjoyed this program because it didn't really highlight working out every day. It just was more intentional and it just showed that you don't have to be doing something every day, just doing something intentional a few days.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it can be easy to get burnt out and it's hard to stick to those things when it's like 5 times per week. Was there anything else that you had tried prior to the program while you were trying to balance night shifts other than that?
Yeah, I actually did a lot of like group fitness classes. So I did Orange Theory for about, I would say 2 years. And then I tried Pilates, which was really nice, but both of them were very expensive. They were also far away from me, so I would have to dedicate more time going to those classes. And with the sleep pattern, they wouldn't always have classes during the time I'd want to go. So that was kind of restrictive. Um, and even with like doing those classes, it did feel good, but I don't think my diet or probably my sleep too was like optimal for like results, at least
hmm
physical results.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes sense. That can be a little challenging, with the classes, but also not having the nutrition piece in there, you said. And then in your first like, couple years as a nurse, do you feel like that you had gained weight, like weren't feeling like yourself? What changes like did you notice at that point?
Yeah, I was actually kind of scared of the scale, so I never really stepped foot on one unless I had to like weigh in for like Orange Theory or like doctor appointments. But there was definitely a gradual increase. It wasn't anything crazy because I was still lower than what I was in high school. Um, that being said, I also felt very like puffy and like, when you wear like your scrubs and like it just doesn't feel right on certain areas. I just didn't feel comfortable in scrubs. And I was very stubborn because scrubs were expensive and I didn't want to buy new ones. So I made it a point to like try to fit into them. But not in a toxic way, more of a motivating way. But it definitely took some time before I felt comfortable in my scrubs.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a ton of weight gain or anything. It was more so just like weren't feeling like yourself, like from the energy levels that you mentioned before, but also kind of like that puffiness, inflammation kind of thing. And you notice it like in the scrubs. I remember your scrubs video when, you're fitting into your scrubs confidently again. So, no, I definitely know what you mean there. But I guess like what really made you decide to get some outside support versus just, continuing with the classes or continuing doing this on your own?
Honestly, I think it was time for me to just kind of lock in. I am only getting older every year, and I've always had a goal to be a very healthy, fit person every year, every January 1st. And sometimes I would have those months or weeks where I would feel really optimal in my fitness, but I never looked like I worked out, if that made sense. Like I had the intention of going to the strong female with getting muscular, getting toned, and also just like knowing what to do in the gym and not having to rely on like my phone or like YouTube videos or just like outside help because not outside help, but like online help because
Mhm.
there's just so many things online and it gets so overwhelming to like figure out what was correct and what's not. And so just honing in on basically a certified personal trainer who does also nutrition, like that was just an all-in-one for me. And again, because you folks highlighted the importance of like the 12-hour shift and resting, I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yay. Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. So really having that guidance that really worked with your 12-hour shifts and you're like, it's time to lock in, I'm not getting, any younger here.
Yeah.
Did you have any hesitations before joining? Because I know that, a lot of women, there's so many things out there. It can be intimidating. Like, is this gonna work? Is it gonna be a waste? Like, what were your
Yeah.
hesitations at the time?
At that time, I think a big part of it was just like financial commitment because obviously I know with that type of work, you have to like commit financially and not just financially, but like yourself. But after doing our first call together, it was nice to hear like the different options of payment plans, which definitely made it more doable. Just because I didn't really know what to expect with payments. Like I've never been trained by a personal trainer before, and I never knew like what to expect in terms of payment. So knowing that there are payment plans and how flexible you folks are to make things work, like that was very helpful.
Totally. Yeah. Did you ever feel like, am I going to pay this money and is it going to go to waste? I know that's what a lot of women kind of wonder, especially with working like the 12-hour shifts. Was that ever a thought in your mind or?
I feel like it was a thought in my mind, but I know that this type of like with all exercises, you get what you put in. So like
Mhm.
I could pay you tens of thousands of dollars, and if I don't do a single thing, I'm not gonna benefit from it. And that's how it went with like fitness classes too. Like it could be like $200 a month, and if I choose to cancel all the time, then yeah, I'm not gonna see results. So knowing what I knew now from paying for fitness classes, I'm gonna have to put work in. Like it's not a magic pill or a magic like subscription to like lose weight.
Right. Yeah. Because sometimes people are like, am I 100% guaranteed to get results in the program? And I'm like, well, we can only do our part. You got to do your part too. So that's definitely a big part of it. You get out what you put into it 100%. And then I guess like what overall surprised you the most? Like once you actually joined the program, once you got started, I guess like what just surprised you or what was different?
I think just like how motivated and disciplined I was for the first year. I traveled a lot. The first year I joined the program, I was literally traveling every month and I would still do all the protocols with Ashley. And it surprised me because even with like eating out and like drinking alcohol and like still like not sleeping sometimes, I still saw results. And that just goes to show that it's not about perfection, it's just about consistency. Because every month I would have like a third check-in with Ashley, and I'd always be like, "Oh, I went over my calories again," and I wasn't able to like work out my 3 intended movements, but I'm still feeling okay. And she would just say, "Just go back into it. Like, there's no need to make it difficult than it already is. Just go back into protocols and everything else will follow." And then you would see my little weight chart, just you'll see a little bit of a spike, but it'll keep the main trend was going down, which was really nice to see
Mhm.
because when I was doing like fitness classes, I would see a little bit of a weight loss, but it would plateau, then go back up because I would stop it, then go back down. So it was nice to see a gradual trend of going down.
Yeah, and like you said, without even being like perfect per se, because that's not the goal, just to be consistent. And that's so awesome that you were able to travel and like, work and do all the things that you need to do and still see that progress and really make it a lifestyle. So I guess what parts of the program do you feel like really helped you the most to see like all the results that you have seen?
Honestly, I really just enjoyed the check-ins because that just showed that you did have someone working with you and it wasn't just someone like writing macros down or a workout down and say, here you go. It was that constant support, knowing that like I was doing the right movements or she would add more weight to my approach or like change my nutrition. It was just knowing that someone was there and it wasn't like a um, one plan fits all type of thing, if that makes sense. So knowing that someone else was behind the screen helping me and actually talking to me and cheering me on, that was really nice. Because I feel like at fitness classes, it was just very like superficial. Go out, go all out, do what you can, and then you don't see them for the next week or whatever, you know?
Definitely. So having it actually be tailored to you, and especially like as a night shift nurse, like how did you feel it helped you balance things with just being a night shift nurse and that crazy schedule?
Yeah. Like I said, you folks really prioritized health and recovery, which I didn't really think was important. But now that I'm literally 4 years older from when I started, it was like, no, sleep is very important. And I always loved seeing like your reels being like, no, I don't work out before or after my shifts. Like I literally prioritize rest. Um, and so, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Yeah, no, that was totally like on par there. I was just kind of asking about how this worked for night shifts for you
Oh
because you
yeah.
said with like prioritizing recovery, that's a huge thing because when you're trying to go to these workout classes or working out 5 times per week and doing night shifts, you can really only do that so long. But you were
Mhm.
just talking about how like that recovery and just knowing that that's an important piece of it, enabled you to stay consistent.
Yeah, and also knowing that, like, because it was another person actually creating my workouts, when I first started, it was, like, 45 minutes in the gym, which was, like, not daunting to me, and then as I got more comfortable and I got had more time to give, like, it would be, like, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and it was nice to, like, actually see me putting in that effort on my days off and, like, prioritizing my health and wellness versus, like, prioritizing going out with friends. Not saying that it was a bad thing, but, like, I always put myself first at that point because I've already put myself last when I'm at work with my patients, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. So I want to get into like the results next. Obviously physically, but mentally, emotionally, like everything. I know you've had so many wins like over the time together. So I guess like overall, like what results did you see from the program from all the time together?
Yeah, I think obviously the big one was, like, definitely physical. Um, I did lose, like, a total of, like, 17 pounds when I hit my lowest, which was, like, crazy to me because I never thought that could actually happen, especially with, like, again, how fit I was with other workout classes. That never was, like, a attainable for me. Um, but then realizing that it took a year and a half to do that, it was super sustainable, and I just enjoyed the fact that, like, we prioritized my food out of everything because we know that it's calories in versus calories out. So if you work out more, of course, you'll hopefully lose weight, but that doesn't mean that you would get the body that you want. And my main goal again was to tone up. So at the beginning, I was kind of frustrated because Ashley kept putting on more calories and I didn't understand why. And I was just kind of like, I'm not losing the weight that I wanted to. And obviously, it took more education about like repairing my metabolism and like getting my body ready to be in a cut. Um,
Mhm.
so just actually better understanding what food does for my body, not just to like obviously fuel me in workouts, but like it helps me with everyday life. Like if I don't have my breakfast in the morning, I do feel more groggy. If I skip coffee, I'd be totally fine because I actually get my energy from like carbs, you know? So like it's been nice to go from drinking a Celsius every day to like drinking coffee and maybe tea 3 times a week. Like it's really insane how that was a big switch for me. And then obviously mindset, just knowing that you don't have to put in so many hours at the gym every single day for results. You just have to be intentional with it, and everything else should follow if you're following whatever guidelines you're following.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And that's huge, just like how much your energy levels improved, because
Yeah.
that's like one of the biggest things for night shift nurses, I feel like, is energy levels get so low from, not fueling yourself properly, not getting enough sleep, and then that makes it harder to go to the gym. It makes it harder to do anything.
Yeah.
So I guess by getting your energy back, like, did that like unlock anything for you that you were able to do that maybe you weren't able to do before?
Yeah, I'm like actually more in like volunteering now. Like I walk dogs at the shelter, I go to the food bank a lot more. And typically on my days off, like I don't really prioritize community just because like I would prioritize myself and sleep, even though my sleep wasn't very restful. So it was nice to have that energy back because I just feel more lively again. And even at work too, like obviously there are days where it'd be a bit more tiresome than others, but I still have a good mood. Like I'm not cranky. Like I don't feel myself feeling cranky at work. So that's been really nice and just very like pleasant to see with this transformation. Because it
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
just
huge.
about like physical, you know?
Yeah, it goes so far beyond the physical. The physical is great, but there's like so many other things that come too along with that, which is why I always like to ask, like you said, like mindset and just like days off, being able to do more things and volunteer and do all that sort of thing, hang out with friends, travel. But I guess, was there any other areas of your life you feel like this impacted, other than just like the physical?
Let's see. Honestly, I think again, the big thing with food, if I were to compare how I used to be with like eating out and stuff, I still eat out. I'm such a huge foodie. There's so much good food out there. But knowing that I can still eat whatever the heck I want, but just like portion control it. Um, and obviously being very type A, like I was really big into numbers. So when we were doing tracking for the macros, I tried to be perfect, which obviously wasn't going to happen with all my traveling and stuff like that. But when I stopped the program, I told myself to like kind of quit tracking cold turkey to see how I would be with like eating and whatnot. And it's absolutely insane that I'm still the same weight that I was when I left you folks, give or take 2 pounds. But like, it's nice because I'm kind of doing it more intuitively now and I'm still eating out a lot. So it just felt super, super nice to know that like all the hard work is still present, which was one thing I was really scared of because obviously if you don't work out and if you don't be mindful of your eating, weight gain is sometimes bound to happen. That's just kind of like the math behind it. But it just goes to show how sustainable the program is if you really take the time and put your energy into it.
Yeah, that's huge. I was gonna ask you about that next, is like being out of the program now, like how you were able to maintain your results. And you said like you're like less tracking, not tracking, eating more intuitively, and still being able to maintain. I mean, 2 pounds is like nothing. And still being able
Yeah,
to maintain
absolutely.
is
Yeah,
amazing. And yeah, like you said, just goes to show how like you've really built those habits and a lifestyle out of this. And that does take time to do. Like you said, you were in the program about a year and a half, so it does take some time too, which is huge.
mm,
But no, that's amazing. And then, how are you feeling overall with like wedding coming up and everything? I know you sent the photos of your dress, which is so exciting, but like, how did the program just help with that piece of your life? And just like, I'm sure trying on dresses and feeling really good, and your photos looked amazing. But how did you feel going through that whole process after, finishing the program?
It was really, like, nice. It was pleasant because, I'm the first of my friends to get married, but a few coworkers have gotten married, and I remember them telling me how they felt like they would have really bad body image when they were doing, like, their dress fitting, which obviously makes sense. Like, it's a hard thing to do sometimes and not knowing what you want done, or what to wear. But I don't know, when I did mine, I knew what I wanted, and I think one of the bigger things that I noticed when I first joined the program was like how big my arms were. And I just wasn't comfortable with that part. But when my friends were taking photos of me in the dresses, like unposed, it was insane to see like the definition in my hands or in my arms and like just my figure. Like it was really flattering. And so that was really nice. Like I never had a really bad body image time when I was dress shopping, because I just felt comfortable and confident in my body. So that was really nice. And in the photos, you can just tell that like my smile was like truly genuine because like I just felt so happy at that time, and I didn't have to think about like covering my arms or like putting my arms up or like flexing them because I just didn't care and I didn't need to care.
Oh, that's huge. The photo you sent me was just like amazing. And like you said, you felt so confident, and that's huge because that can be like a vulnerable time when you're trying on those dresses like in front of like everybody and stuff, and you want to feel good for your big day. And yeah, you looked amazing. And I'm excited to see your actual wedding day photos later in the year and everything.
Oh, I'm stoked. It's gonna be really fun.
Awesome. Perfect. And then I guess like overall, like what would you say to someone that was like in your shoes, like a night shift nurse who's considering the program, they've done the workout classes and they're just worried like they don't know if this is going to work for them. They don't want to waste the time, energy, or money like getting started, and they're just kind of on the fence. What would your advice be to that night shift nurse?
I would definitely say again, you get what you put in. And it is an investment, but your body is an investment. You only have one body. So you're paying for the education, the tools, the structure, and basically support from these coaches, and community even, because they're going to help you build the long-term habits that you need to succeed. And again, it is scary to see a sticker price, but you're worth much more than what that is. And you only have one life, so you want to live it happy and healthy, not really sad and depressed like how your patients might be in the hospital.